Welcome back to the channel, my friends. Warhammer Man Studios. I'm Warhammer Man, and today we're taking a look at this week's official prices. This video is sponsored by CMO Games. More on that later. Alright, so we got the massive release of Skaven on the horizon. It is still up for pre-orders for the next 2 weeks. But in the meantime, we have a host of new Age of Sigmar releases to go along with it. So all of your game aids, all of your individual accessories, all going to be coming up for pre-order. This Saturday should be fully equipped to play Age of Sigmar upon release. So let's go ahead and jump in and take a look at the official prices. And also it is worth note that many of the individual items that are coming up for pre-order are actually already included in the Skaven box set. So I'll try to make a note of those things as we go, so you know you're already taken care of if you have a copy of Skaven on order. So getting started here first, we have the official Warhammer Age of Sigmar 4.0 core rulebook. And of course this is included in the Skaven box set. This is coming in at $70 USD or $85 Canadian. So right in line with the Warhammer 40,000 rulebook, no big surprises here. I think this just further speaks to the absolute value and savings inside of the Skaven box set, as the actual box set itself retails for $265, and this book alone is $70. So if you were planning on picking up just the core rulebook on its own, everything else in the box set comes for $195. So just an absolutely amazing deal based on MSRP. Next we have the Age of Sigmar General's Handbook 2024-25. And this is basically going to be all of like the changing rules, the missions, all of the important stuff you're going to need for the following season. And this is going to cover you for the first year. This is not included in the Skaven box set. It is spiral bound. These are nice quality. A great companion for anyone looking to play, not necessarily just competitive, but throughout the season. So this is priced at $42 USD or $53 Canadian. And this is not included in the Skaven box set, but it is very important for people to have if they're going to be playing through the season. And obviously we don't know how many of these Games Workshop has made or anything, but in the past when this has come out, once they have initially sold out of this, they have never restocked it. So this is going to be a necessity for the first year of play for anybody that wants to use the full rules, the missions, and have all of those things available. And they do usually just do a single run of this. So once it's sold out, whether it's on the first day or in the first couple months, it's basically impossible to get after that from Games Workshop. So if you are interested in all of the specific rules that are included in this, if you want to keep up to date with everything going on in Age of Sigmar, I highly recommend people pick one of these up on the initial launch. Because after that, it gets much more difficult. You have to buy it through a third party, you have to find it in a game store, and it can be a real pain. So I will definitely be picking up a copy of this to go along with Skaven myself. Alright, and then moving on from there, we have the Fire and Jade Gaming Pack. So all of these individual items are included in the Skaven box. This is everything you need to play Spearhead, assuming you just download the actual Spearhead rules for free. If you do pick up the Skaven box, you're also going to get the physical print copy of the Fire and Jade stuff, which is everything for Spearhead. If you just pick up this pack right here, you're going to need to download or use like the free digital rules. The price of this is $65 USD or $80 Canadian. And again, because this and some other items for Spearhead are included in the Skaven box, once again, just fully shows how much value is in that box set. Because if we just take that other rulebook and then the stuff inside of here, not even taking into account the Spearhead book that comes as well, the $70 for the regular rulebook, the $65 for this, basically means you're paying $130 for all those miniatures. So Skaven is just an absolutely phenomenal deal. But if you do want to pick it up individually, $65 USD or $80 Canadian. Alright, and then next we have the individual faction packs. So these are basically like the actual faction rules and then the cards for every single faction. Now Games Workshop has specifically said that all of these will be available for free download, similar to what they did for Warhammer 40k. All the index rules and digital cards will be available online on Warhammer Community. We'll have links for those when they post, likely with the release of Age of Sigmar 4.0 Skaven. And these are all going to be coming in at various price points based on essentially how many war scrolls are in each of these factions. So armies like Stormcast Eternals, which have a ton of war scrolls, are going to be on the more pricey side, as where armies like the Sons of Behemoth that have a limited number of war scrolls are going to be much cheaper. Now I have stressed this before, and I do recommend for people, specifically with the Stormcast Eternals and Skaven, because we know from Games Workshop previous history that those are the two factions released in the Skaven box, that those are more likely than not going to be the first two battle tomes to come out. There's going to be a little bit of a campaign that goes on with the release of Skaven Tide. People are going to vote to see if the Stormcast Eternals or the Skaven win. Whichever of those wins, we're going to get the release of the remaining miniatures to expand the range, and then that battle tome will come first, and then the other one will get the release of the remaining miniatures, and then that battle tome will come second. So for anyone looking to purchase these actual faction packs and the cards, those factions are going to have the shortest shelf life, followed by we'll at some point in time in the near future get the faction roadmap as well with the battle tomes for the following few months or a year. So obviously the sooner those battle tomes come out, the less shelf life these faction packs are going to have. So realistically, I think the best thing to do is to skip over the Stormcast and Skaven faction packs, as those will likely only have a couple of months of usefulness before the actual battle tome comes out, and then they'll have a new set of faction pack cards with all of the new units, all of the updated rules, and then those will be good for basically the next 3 years. And then at that point in time, we'll have all the information for which of the battle tomes are going to be coming after those, and then you can make an educated decision as to whether or not it's worth picking up the cards. So for instance, for Warhammer 40k, I skipped the initial release of the Space Marines and Tyranid cards, waited till the actual roadmap was released, and then I went back and picked up a couple of the index packs for cards that were not on the initial release list, knowing that I would get at least a couple of years worth of use out of those. Now a quick message from today's sponsor. CMO Games has been selling Games Workshop products online for over 20 years. They carry the full line of Games Workshop products, including Warhammer 40,000, Age of Sigmar, Necromunda, Blood Bowl, paint tools, and more. Almost all Games Workshop products are priced at 15% off MSRP. CMO Games takes pre-orders for most Games Workshop products released at their earliest date possible. 12:01 a.m. on Saturday, they go live. Most of these pre-order products are also priced at 15% off MSRP. CMO Games offer free shipping in the US 48 with an order of $50 or more. Their customer service is top-notch and they ship most orders within 24 hours. Visit CMOGames.com using the affiliate link in the description and let them know that you heard about CMO Games from Warhammer Man. Now back to the video. So that being said, these are priced based on the actual number of war scrolls that the codex has. So they're all going to be varying prices. So at the top of the list for the most expensive are the Stormcast Eternals, who have the most war scrolls. They're going to be $26 USD or $31 Canadian. And then also we see factions like the Cities of Sigmar at that same price point, $26 or 31 Canadian. And then we have a sort of middle ground for factions like Seraphon, Lumineth Realm Lords, and a few others. Those are priced at $19 USD or $24.50 Canadian. And then we have the majority of the other factions with very limited amount of war scrolls. Those are going to be priced slightly cheaper at $15 USD or $20 Canadian. So I'm not going to go through like the individual prices of each of these, as we will see those on Saturday. But just keep in mind that basically the depth of the actual range, the amount of war scrolls in that specific faction is going to determine the prices, whether it's in the highest price point like the Stormcast Eternals, the middle ground like the Seraphon, or the cheapest price point like the Sylvaneth. But regardless of whether you decide to pick these up initially or later on, know that all of the actual rules, all of the war scrolls will be available to download or view digitally throughout the edition. And then as the actual battle tomes come out, those will be replaced with the new and updated versions. They'll be slightly more expensive, but the shelf life on those will be for the remainder of the edition. All right, and then moving on from there, we have the Warhammer Age of Sigmar Grand Alliance dice set. So there is one dice set for each of the Grand Alliances: Order, Chaos, Death, and Destruction. There's 16 dice in a pack, and these are just the generic dice for each of the Grand Alliances. These are going to be priced at $32, $2 per die, right in line with what Games Workshop has been pricing for their dice. And then we also have the White Dwarf issue 502. This is going to be coming in at $11 and features the first print Age of Sigmar battle report, as well as some other cool stuff. And then finally, just a note, we won't have the official prices on the Morvenn Vahl Spear of Faith Mega Limited Edition until it goes live on Saturday. But this is a limited edition. This is extremely popular, and a lot of people have been waiting on this for over a year, as it's been delayed multiple times. I know, I'm super excited to be picking this up. And if you are looking to get a hold of the Morvenn Vahl Spear of Faith Mega Limited Edition, I highly recommend that you be ready for this. I hope Games Workshop has a queue system in effect, and I do suspect these are going to sell out extremely quickly, as this is a very desirable set. So that is it for this week's pre-order prices. I think the two items that you really need to be focused on are the Morvenn Vahl Limited Edition book, and then of course the General's Handbook. There should be plenty of these to go around, at least initially. So even if you don't jump straight on Games Workshop's website and pick up this General's Handbook, make sure that you let your local friendly game store know that you're interested in this. As they do a limited run on these, they don't reprint them, and it's going to be a necessity to play through the first season of the edition. It's good for 1 year, and it is a nice quality product with spiral binding. So let me know what you're excited about, what you're going to be picking up. Are you going to be like me, waiting in the queue for that Morvenn Vahl special edition? You picking up that General's Handbook? Are you skipping out on the Skaven Tide box and just buying some of the individual accessories? Did the individual prices of the accessories make you want to just jump in on that Skaven Tide box after all? Always like to hear back from you guys in the comments. And as always, special thanks to CMO Games for sponsoring the channel. Check out the link in the description to save 15% on Games Workshop products. That's it for today. Warhammer Man Studios, I'm Warhammer Man, and I cannot wait to get a hold of my copy of Skaven Tide. And I'm out of here.